I swear if I'd known he would be standing on my doorstep, I would have at least put on a bra. But I wasn't expecting anything special. Just another grocery delivery. Just another evening alone while my husband was away. So there I was in an old thin t-shirt that clung to my chest a little too much, and soft lounge pants that weren't doing me any favors. Hair messy, no makeup, no effort. And then I opened the door. Liam Walker. I froze. He froze. For a second I thought maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. Liam. My ex-student. The cocky, reckless kid who used to lean on my desk during office hours, flashing that too easy grin, asking if there was extra credit available. The kid who flirted just to get a reaction out of me. But he wasn't a kid anymore. He was older now. Broader. His shoulders stretched the thin fabric of his work shirt. His jaw was sharper, and there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. A hesitation. A flicker of something I couldn't quite place. I should have said something normal. Something professional. Instead, I just stood there like an idiot, aware, painfully aware, of the way his gaze flickered downward for half a second. He noticed. The t-shirt. The way it clung to me, the way I wasn't wearing anything underneath. I watched as he swallowed, shifting his stance. He had always been so damn confident when he was my student. But not now. Now he looked nervous. And I liked that. Oh shit, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Professor Carter. That name. God, it sounded so much worse now knowing we weren't in the classroom anymore. I smirked because it was easier than admitting I was flustered. Not a professor anymore. Just Sophie. He nodded, but I caught the way his fingers tightened around the grocery bags. He was tense. Why was he tense? Liam had always been the confident one, the troublemaker in class. He used to lean back in his chair, arms behind his head, smirking like he knew exactly what he was doing when he called me beautiful just to watch me flinch. You sure you don't grade on charm, Professor? 'Cause I'd be at the top of the class. It had all been a joke back then. A game. But now there was no grade to earn. Now the game had changed. Didn't expect to see me? I asked, folding my arms across my chest, half to tease him, half to hide how hard my nipples had decided to betray me. He let out a breathless laugh, shaking his head. Not like this. And the way he said it. Not like this. Like he'd thought about seeing me again. But not like this. I felt heat rise up my neck, and I hated how much I liked the way his voice had dropped when he said it. I should have grabbed the groceries, thanked him, and shut the door. Instead, I stood there, barefoot in my thin shirt, staring at my ex-student like a woman who didn't know better. Like a woman who suddenly wanted to see just how much he'd grown. I should have just taken the damn groceries and shut the door. That's what I should have done. Instead, I stood there like an idiot, barefoot in my thin braless t-shirt, staring at Liam like I'd never seen a man before. And worse? He was staring back. Like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to look. Like he wanted to. I licked my lips, pure habit, but his eyes flickered to my mouth so fast, so unintentional, that I felt my stomach tighten. Jesus. I needed to stop this. Needed to act normal. So, I cleared my throat, reaching for the bags in his hands, anything to break this awful, suffocating tension. Didn't know you were a delivery driver now. Liam blinked, snapping out of whatever the hell this was. He let out a small, breathless chuckle and handed me the first bag. Yeah, well, graduating with a degree in communications doesn't mean much when you've got student loans to pay. I snorted, shaking my head as I stepped back into the house. Trust me, I know. He followed me. I didn't invite him in, but he followed anyway. I told myself it was because he had another bag in his hands. That was all. That was the only reason. But as I set the groceries down on the counter, I could feel him behind me. Close enough that the warmth of his body felt suffocating. I had to say something. I had to break this. You used to be so confident, I mused, tearing open a bag of lettuce like it had personally offended me. What happened? I didn't even know why I said it. I just needed something to grab onto, some kind of control. Liam's voice was lower when he answered. You were my professor. I turned, raising an eyebrow at him. And he let out a dry laugh, shaking his head. That was different. Was it? I knew I was pushing him. I could feel it. Could see the way he shifted his weight, jaw tightening, like he wasn't sure where to put his hands. The boy who used to lean on my desk, smirking like he could get away with anything, was suddenly at a loss for words. And I liked it. Way too much. I leaned against the counter, hip pressing against the cool granite, just to ground myself. You really think I didn't know? I asked, tilting my head. All those times you stayed late after class? The way you'd stare at me when you thought I wouldn't notice. He inhaled sharply. Oh, that did something to him. His fingers twitched at his sides. Then he looked at me, really looked at me. And suddenly I wasn't in control anymore. Liam's lips parted slightly, and when he spoke, his voice was quieter, rougher. And what about you? He asked, stepping closer. Too close. I swallowed. What about me? He tilted his head slightly, assessing me. Oh, this was dangerous. Liam had always been trouble, but I had never let myself see him this way. And now I had no choice. You never told me to stop, he murmured. And for the first time that night, I didn't have an answer. I just stood there, stomach twisting, heat rising up my neck, pulse hammering in my ears. And the worst part? He saw it. I should have laughed it off. Should have rolled my eyes, taken the groceries, and ended this conversation before it went somewhere dangerous. But I didn't. Instead, I stood there, pulse hammering in my throat, replaying his words. You never told me to stop. I had spent so much time pretending I didn't notice Liam back then. The way he looked at me. The way he tested boundaries. A hand dragging over my desk when he lingered after class, close but never touching. The way his voice dropped when he asked me questions just to see if I'd react. I had ignored it all, because that's what I was supposed to do. I wasn't his professor anymore, but somehow he still had me cornered. I forced a laugh, shaking my head. You were just a kid trying to get an A. Liam's lips twitched like he wanted to smile, but didn't. Yeah. His voice was slow, testing. You really think that's all it was? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out, because deep down I didn't believe that. And now? Neither did he. I turned back to the counter, needing something to do with my hands. I reached for a bag of fruit, acting like my fingers weren't shaking, like I wasn't hyper-aware of every inch of space between us. It wasn't enough. I still felt him. Behind me. Watching. Liam exhaled softly through his nose. Then after a long pause, he moved. Not much. Just a step closer. But I felt it everywhere. Heat crawled up my spine, my breath catching in my throat as I realized he was right behind me now. I swallowed. Liam. His voice was so damn low, so damn close, and I hated what it did to me. I gripped the edge of the counter, knuckles white. You should go. I meant it. I really did. Liam let out a small, amused exhale. You don't sound sure. I squeezed my eyes shut. God help me, I wasn't. I could feel him behind me, the warmth of his body radiating against my back. His presence alone made my skin tighten, my breath hitch, my stomach twist in ways it hadn't in years. And when I felt the ghost of his breath near my neck, just barely, just enough, I lost it. I spun around, heart pounding, mouth open to tell him off, to tell him to leave. But I turned too fast. Too close. And suddenly there was no space left at all. My chest almost brushed his. I had to tilt my chin up to meet his eyes, and God, the way he looked at me. Dark. Focused. Hungry. And the worst part? I didn't step back. I should have. But I didn't. Because I wanted to see what he'd do next. And when his eyes flickered down, to my lips, to my throat, to the thin fabric stretched tight across my chest. I knew exactly where this was going. I should have stepped back. That's what a smart woman would have done. A responsible woman. A woman who wasn't about to wreck everything. But I didn't. I stood there, trapped between his body and the counter, and I did absolutely nothing to stop it. I could feel him, not touching me, not yet, but close enough that I could feel his warmth seeping into my skin. Too close. Much too close. And when he spoke, his voice was low, careful, like he knew exactly what he was doing. "You're staring." I sucked in a sharp breath, my fingers curling against the cool countertop behind me. "You're in my house," I shot back. "What do you expect me to do?" Liam's lips twitched. Not a smirk. Something slower. More deliberate. "Tell me to leave, then." I opened my mouth. The words were right there. But I didn't say them. Liam saw it. I knew he saw it, the hesitation, the war happening in my head, the way my chest rose just a little too fast. And that's when he did it. That's when he touched me.
I spend 8 hours a day to make sure you enjoy every story. Please support my channel with a donation on PayPal to continue enjoying nasty talk stories every day.
Not a grab. Not a desperate, reckless move. Just a fingertip. Soft. Feather-light. Tracing the inside of my wrist. It was nothing. And it was everything. My breath caught, but I didn't move. I just stood there watching his fingers brush my skin, slow and careful, like he was waiting for me to stop him. But I didn't. God help me, I didn't. Liam exhaled slowly, shaking his head. "You really don't want me to go, do you?" The worst part? He wasn't teasing anymore. His voice wasn't cocky, wasn't arrogant. It was real. Heavy. Like maybe he wasn't sure what would happen next either. I swallowed, my throat dry. "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why not?" I tried to think of an answer. I tried to remember who I was, what I was supposed to be. But then he shifted just slightly and suddenly our bodies weren't just close. They were touching. A press of fabric on fabric, his chest barely grazing mine. And I felt him tense. Like he hadn't meant to do it. Like he was just as wrecked by this as I was. For a split second, neither of us moved. His breath was warm against my temple. His fingers tightened on my wrist like he wasn't sure if he should let go or hold on. And then in the smallest, quietest voice, "Sophie." Just my name. But it sounded different. Like a question. Like a plea. Like he was waiting for permission. And the second I realized that, I was already tilting my chin up. Already closing the last bit of space between us. Because if I was going to ruin myself, I was going to do it properly. I should have stopped. There was still time. A fraction of a second where I could have stepped back, laughed it off, made a joke about how ridiculous this was. But I didn't. Because when I tilted my chin up, when I let my lips part just slightly, when I made that final silent invitation, Liam took it. His mouth crashed into mine and God help me, I let him. I didn't hesitate. Didn't pull away. I just melted. The kiss was hard, desperate, nothing careful about it. There was no soft, teasing build-up, no testing the waters. It was hunger. Immediate and reckless. His hands, once hesitant, were suddenly everywhere. One sliding to my waist, gripping tight. The other, knotted in my hair, tugging just enough to make me gasp into his mouth. And that sound, it broke something in him. Liam growled against my lips, and before I could even process it, I was being lifted, spun, pressed against the counter. I gasped, my back arching on instinct, my thighs spreading just enough for him to step between them. And God, the way he fit there. "You," I barely managed, my voice breaking as his mouth trailed down to my throat, open, wet kisses that sent heat pooling between my legs. "What?" Liam murmured against my skin, teeth grazing, lips smirking. "Tell me to stop?" I shuddered, gripped his shirt, and I didn't say it. I should have. But instead I let out a sound I didn't recognize. A whimper. A breathless little thing that had no place coming from my mouth. Liam groaned low in his throat, his hands tightening on my hips, his fingers pressing into soft flesh like he was memorizing the feel of me. "You don't even know how long I've wanted this," he muttered hot, desperate words against my collarbone. I moaned a real unfiltered sound, and I felt his body tense in response. His breath stuttered. I could feel the effect I had on him, and the power of it was intoxicating. So I tested it. I rolled my hips just slightly, just enough. "And Liam?" He swore under his breath, dropping his forehead against my shoulder. I smiled. That wicked, secret kind of smile I hadn't felt in years. "Didn't expect your old professor to be this much trouble, did you?" I whispered, threading my fingers into his hair, tugging. He exhaled sharply, his hands gripping tighter, pulling me closer, rocking against me in a way that made my entire body clench. "No," he admitted, voice rough, "but I'm not complaining." And then he kissed me again, harder, deeper, like he was trying to ruin me. And I let him. Because, God help me, I wanted to be ruined. I didn't expect it to feel like this. I thought if this moment ever came, if I ever lost my mind enough to let him touch me, to let him kiss me like this, it would feel wrong. But it didn't. It felt inevitable. Like something I had been holding back for too long. Like something I didn't know I needed until now. Liam groaned against my mouth, his hands gripping my hips, thumbs pressing into my skin just hard enough to leave marks. He wasn't shy anymore. Not hesitant. Not careful. The kiss turned desperate, a clashing of mouths, a mess of breath and heat. And then his hands started to move. Slowly at first. Exploring. Mapping me out. Sliding under my thin t-shirt, palming my waist, moving up. I gasped. My head fell back. The sensation was too much. I knew what he was doing, taking his time, savoring it, teasing me in the cruelest way. "Liam," I breathed, voice shaking. His lips trailed down my throat, biting softly, sucking just enough to make my stomach tighten. "I know," he murmured, his voice rough with restraint. "I know." But he still didn't rush. His fingers traced slow circles over my ribs, my stomach, my sides. Not quite where I needed him, but close. So close. My nails dug into his shoulders. I rolled my hips against him, grinding just enough to hear the sharp breath he sucked in. And God, that sound. I could feel what I was doing to him. How much he wanted this. How much he wanted me. That should have terrified me. But it didn't. It thrilled me. I wrapped my legs around him, my ankles locking at the small of his back, pulling him in, pressing him exactly where I wanted. Liam swore under his breath. His head fell forward, resting against my shoulder, his whole body shaking with the effort to stay in control. "You have no idea what you're doing to me," he muttered, his voice muffled against my skin. I smiled, a wicked, breathless thing, dragging my nails down his back. "Then show me," I whispered. His breath hitched. His hands tightened. And then? He did. His fingers gripped my thighs, dragged me to the very edge of the counter. His mouth crashed back into mine, and when I arched against him, he rocked forward, pushing, pressing, teasing. I moaned into his mouth, and he swallowed it whole. I didn't care anymore. Not about consequences. Not about guilt. Not about the fact that I was supposed to be older, wiser, in control. Because in this moment, Liam was the one who had me completely undone. And I was going to let him. I don't know why I thought he'd be impatient. Liam had always been reckless, a troublemaker, the kind of student who never followed rules. I expected him to be all hunger and desperation, taking what he wanted the second I gave him permission. But I had underestimated him. Because he wasn't rushing. He was dragging it out. And it was ruining me. His hands were slow, cruelly, devastatingly slow. They mapped my body like he was memorizing every inch of me. His fingertips tracing over my stomach, my waist, my ribs. Not where I needed him. Not yet. I squirmed, arching into his touch, and he chuckled, low and dark, his breath warm against my throat. "You're impatient," he murmured. I swallowed hard, gripping his shirt. "And you're teasing." His lips curved into a smirk as he pressed a kiss just below my ear. "Maybe." I let out a frustrated breath, shifting against him, feeling the hard press of his body against mine. Proof of what I was doing to him. I had never thought about this before, what it would be like to have his weight on me, to have him like this. But now that I had him, now that I could feel him, I wanted more. I pulled him closer, rolling my hips against him. A deliberate testing motion. And oh, the way he reacted. Liam's breath hitched sharp and rough. His fingers dug into my waist, his muscles tensing beneath my hands. For a second I thought I'd broken him. And then, he broke me first. Because that was the moment he finally touched me. His hand slid higher, up my ribs, over my bare skin, his thumbs brushing the underside of my breasts. I gasped, my whole body tensing at the contact. Oh, I hadn't realized how much I'd been craving this. The heat of his palms, the way his fingers spread wide, claiming me, holding me, owning me. "You're shaking," he murmured. I bit my lip, my breath uneven. "You're still teasing." Liam chuckled, the sound low and rough. His thumbs swept over my skin, his touch still infuriatingly light, like he was testing how much I could take. I was about to snap. I could feel it, the unbearable, desperate need curling inside me, hot and electric and all-consuming. I had never wanted anyone like this, not even close, and Liam knew it. He could feel it in the way I trembled beneath him, the way I pressed into his hands, silently begging. But he still wasn't giving in. Not yet. Not until I broke first. And I was dangerously, dangerously close. I broke first. Of course I did. I wasn't built for this kind of torture. The teasing, the unbearable slowness, the way his hands barely skimmed my skin, keeping me on edge, making me squirm. He knew exactly what he was doing, and God, I hated him for it. And loved him for it. I let out a frustrated breath, gripping his shirt, yanking him closer. "Liam." My voice was barely a whisper, my pulse hammering against my throat. He stilled, his breath warm against my skin, waiting. I swallowed hard. No more teasing. His jaw tightened. I saw it, the flicker of restraint, the last fragile thread of his control. Then, in one swift motion, he snapped. Liam crushed his mouth against mine, all hesitation gone. The careful, teasing touches? Gone. There was nothing slow now. Nothing patient. His hands gripped my waist, lifting me fully onto the counter, forcing my thighs apart. He pressed forward, his body hot, hard, solid against mine. And God, the way he fit against me. The pressure, the heat, it was too much and not enough all at once. I gasped into his mouth, fisting his hair, yanking, pulling him closer. Liam groaned, his fingers sliding under my shirt, dragging up my stomach, over my ribs, and then higher. His hands finally found me. I gasped, my back arching, my body surging into him. And the sound I made? It ruined him. Liam cursed under his breath, his lips moving to my throat, kissing, sucking, biting just enough to make me shudder. "You're so..." He cut himself off with a ragged breath, his hands squeezing, molding, learning me. I whimpered. I actually whimpered. I wasn't quiet anymore. I wasn't reserved. I wasn't anything except desperate and wrecked and completely lost in him. And when I rocked against him, seeking, pressing, needing more, he growled. Not a soft sound. Not a quiet sound. A deep, broken, utterly wrecked sound. Then his hands moved again. Sliding lower this time, fingers trailing down my stomach, past my waistband. I sucked in a sharp breath, my nails digging into his shoulders. "Tell me to stop," Liam whispered, his forehead pressed against mine. His voice was shaking. I didn't. I couldn't. I just dragged his mouth back to mine, breathing him in, opening for him, giving him everything. Because there was no stopping now. Not when we had already gone too far. I didn't know I could feel like this. Shaken. Unmade. Completely undone. Liam's weight was still pressing me against the counter, his breath ragged and uneven against my throat. His hands were still on me, gripping, holding like he couldn't bring himself to let go just yet. And neither could I. I had forgotten what it was like to lose control so completely, to let my body take over, to let someone worship me with their hands, their mouth, their voice. To be wanted like that. Liam lifted his head slowly, his forehead pressing against mine, his hand still holding my waist like he needed something to anchor himself. For a moment, neither of us spoke. There was only the sound of our breathing, still heavy, still unsteady. Then he laughed. Soft, breathless, almost in disbelief. And I smiled because what else could I do? You okay? His voice was rough like he had just run for miles. I let out a slow, shaky breath. Ask me again when I can feel my legs. Liam groaned, dropping his head to my shoulder. You're going to kill me. Right back at you. I felt him smile against my skin, his lips brushing over my collarbone, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my bare waist. He hadn't moved away yet, and neither had I. That should have worried me. But in that moment I didn't care. Because his body was still warm against mine. Because I could still feel the way he had held me, touched me, whispered my name like he had been waiting years to say it that way. And God, I didn't want to lose that feeling just yet. I dragged my nails up his back, just to feel the shiver that ran through him. He pulled back slightly, his gaze hot and searching. Then softly, almost teasing, he murmured, "Still think I was just a kid trying to get an A?" I felt a slow, wicked smile spread across my lips. And instead of answering, I pulled him down for another kiss. Because I wasn't done with him yet. Not even close. I should have felt guilty. That's what I kept telling myself. I should have been panicking. I should have been drowning in regret. I should have been thinking about my husband. But I wasn't. 'Cause Liam was still here. Because his fingers were still tracing slow circles on my bare thigh. Because his breath was still warm against my skin. And because for the first time in years I felt alive. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Tangled, breathless, wrapped up in something we couldn't take back. But eventually reality had to return. Liam sighed against my shoulder, then finally, reluctantly, pushed himself up. "I should go," he murmured. I hated how much I didn't want him to, but I nodded, forcing my face into something neutral, something indifferent. "Yeah, you probably should." Liam searched my expression, like he was trying to figure out what I was thinking, like he wasn't sure if I was about to pretend this never happened. I wasn't sure either. He smirked, but it wasn't his usual cocky grin. It was softer, more knowing. "You're going to think about me tonight, aren't you?" I scoffed, rolling my eyes. "I barely remember your name." He laughed, really laughed, before leaning in, pressing one last kiss to my jaw. "Liar." Then just like that he pulled away, grabbing his shirt, running a hand through his messy hair. I sat there, still on the counter, still dazed, watching as he threw me one last glance before heading for the door. And for a second I thought that was it. A mistake. A secret. Something I'd bury deep and never speak of again. Until I heard it. A car pulling into the driveway. My stomach dropped. Liam froze, one hand on the doorknob. Then slowly he turned to look at me. We both knew that sound. The sound of my husband coming home. Hours early. Panic surged through me so fast I nearly choked on it. I jumped down from the counter, yanking my shirt back into place, shoving at Liam's chest. "You have to go. Now." Liam was already moving, already heading toward the back door. His shirt half-buttoned, his hair still a mess. I rushed to the front door, trying to smooth my hair, trying to look normal, trying not to look like a woman who had just let her ex-student ruin her in the kitchen. The doorknob turned. I took a deep breath, forced a smile. Then my husband stepped inside, and behind him, holding another grocery bag, stood Liam. Still flushed, still slightly out of breath, still very much not gone. Our eyes met. His lips twitched. And then he smirked. Hey, Professor. Oh, my God. Like this video and subscribe to Nasty Talks. Don't forget to send this video to your friends on WhatsApp so they can enjoy it too. Thanks for being here with me.